Hi, I'm David Mason. I'm the Director of Data Science and an OD consultant here at DecisionWise. You've seen the results of the survey, and you're excited to make some changes that will increase engagement. So today we're going to spend the next couple of minutes talking about some best practices when creating your action plan. Now obviously, this would take months to fully explore, and it turns out YouTube won't actually let me upload a file that size, so I'm just going to go over the 5 most important things to keep in mind, I call them discovery points, when creating action plans, and then I'll give you one tip for each of them. The very first step, the first discovery point, before anything else, is to be incredibly clear about what your goal actually is. The reason is that poorly made goals can be gamed. Take, for example, let's be a better listener. That's a noble goal, right? So let's pursue that. I make that my goal, and one of the ways that I put it into action is to not interrupt people when they're talking. So I sit back, I let someone talk, and then I say what I was going to say anyway because I wasn't really listening. I was just not talking, but I met the goal. Let's take losing weight. There's a goal we've all tried at one point or another. If I just want to lose weight, I can still eat unhealthy, just less of it. I'm not really any better off health-wise, and in fact, I might even be worse off. But I met the goal. And in fact, the fastest way to lose weight, to be honest, is just cut off a leg. But that would be ridiculous, right? But it reaches the goal. So discovery point number 1 is to be clear about what you want to accomplish. And tip number 1 is once you have that, figure out how to cheat on it. Because if you can cheat on it, then it wasn't a good goal. Be more specific about the actual what that you want to accomplish. Discovery point number 2 is to now determine why you want to work towards this goal. The goal should never actually be your goal. What is the result you hope to achieve? Remember, the goal is a tool and a measuring stick designed to help you arrive at that result. So tip number 2 is to be brutally honest. Ask yourself, who benefits? And if the answer isn't a resounding, me, I do, then you have to have a reckoning. Saying you want to be a better listener is one of those things that sounds great. But if your honest answer as to why you want to is because your boss told you to, or that it keeps the peace at the office, then you don't have a strong enough motivation to sustain you when the going gets rough. If your motivation is not aligned with the goal, you need to find a way to either bring your motivation closer to the goal or the goal closer to your motivation. But in either case, don't proceed until this is in place. Now, let's say you've made this big, hairy, audacious goal. You're super excited about it. Hey, that's great. I'm excited for you too. Shoot for the stars, I always say. But how do you plan on doing this exactly? So the third discovery point then is to determine how you will reach this goal. Let's take your awesome goal. You have a great goal, which is super clear in purpose, and you're pumped to accomplish it. Now, take that goal and chop it in half. Now, chop it in half again. Now, chop it in half again. It's great to keep your big super goal, but you're going to need to create some sub-goals along the way. There's a reason this video is only a couple of minutes long. If your goal was to watch this video and then you saw it was 45 minutes long, the majority of you would either just close this tab or randomly click through the playback bar we have here in the bottom until you got to the end. See? I totally finished it. So tip number 3 then for this is to think like a video game. That is to say, you want to make your goals manageable. Video games are so addictive precisely because you are always accomplishing something. You can't move left or right without going towards some goal. If you finish a day and you feel like you haven't made progress on something important to you, then you don't have manageable enough goals. Now, you know what video games also do incredibly well? Tracking your progress and giving you feedback. In real life, you need to ask yourself, when will you know you have succeeded? And this actually accomplishes 2 things. It gives you a deadline, and it forces you to be specific about the goal. Otherwise, when the time came, how would you know you actually accomplished it, right? The terminology we use here is actionable steps or tangible tasks. Tip number 4 is to help you with the when, is to redefine the when, i.e. think of the different types of time you could use. We normally make a deadline, but think about also maybe a period of time to accomplish something, like I want to accomplish this during Q2. Or you could do it like an event, like every team meeting or every time you walk in the door. Now, every goal is different, so I can't give you suggested time frames. But what you need to do is have a discussion where you bring someone in to help you figure out what that is. So speaking of which, the 5th discovery point is who is going to help you with your goal. Who can you bring in and what resources can they provide to help you make your goal-seeking behavior more fruitful? Research shows that goals are much more likely to be accomplished if you bring someone else in, even if that person is just a social support or a cheerleader type. Now, tip number 5 is to not forget the who in the who of goal-setting behavior. There's a reason I phrase it that way, because normally we think of stuff as just finding the resources, do it ourselves, pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. But what you need to do is you need to figure out who can help you in any way they can, and you will be much more likely to accomplish that goal. So now, don't forget, to recap everything, is to discover the what, the why, the how, the when, and the who. And if you do that, you will be in a much better place to accomplish all the things that you have set about in your action plan.